So last night, the unthinkable happened, and Nikola Jokic made NBA history by becoming the first MVP in 32 years to get swept in the NBA playoffs. Luckily for the last MVP that happened to, Magic Johnson, he could at least say that he made it to the NBA Finals. And Magic also pulled his hamstring in Game 2. Sadly for Jokic, he was healthy for the entire playoff series, and this happened in the second round. Enough about this year's MVP though, because I think the real story here should be about this Phoenix Suns team, and today I want to talk about why this team has shown that they have what it takes to be crowned the 2021 NBA champions. What's up guys, SCJ here, and if you enjoyed today's video, then make sure to give it a like as it helps out a lot, and if you're new to the channel and or enjoy the NBA, then make sure to hit that subscribe button and notification bell. So last night, the Phoenix Suns won Game 4 of their series against the Nuggets by 7 points as they beat them by a score of 125 to 118 in Denver. The Suns absolutely dominated this series, and after last night's win, they have now won every single game of that series by 15.7 points, and last night's win was the only one where they didn't beat the Nuggets by double digits. Beyond just this series though, the Suns have really been on an absolute tear though, as over their last 7 games where they have a 7-game winning streak spanning back to their last series against the LA Lakers, they've won every game by a margin of 16.3 points per game over that time span, which is insanely impressive. Devin Booker has been absolutely locked in during this Suns playoff run as he's led the team in scoring with 27.9 points per game and also chipped in elsewhere with solid showings of 6.8 rebounds and 4.8 assists, along with near 50-40-90 shooting numbers as he's shot 48.7% from the field, 37.7% from 3, and 91.7% from the free throw line. I will say though, over the Suns' 7-game winning streak, both him and Chris Paul have shot 50-40-90 percentages, which is insanely impressive. Despite Booker's great play though, the real reason for this Suns team's great playoff run right now is actually because of the other guy I just mentioned, Chris Paul. Last night, CP3 just surpassed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar by 28 days and became the oldest player to score 35 or more points on 70% shooting in a playoff game. Paul also made history with Kareem once again, except he tied him this time for the most points ever without a three-pointer by a player 36 years of age or older in a playoff game. Both of those stats are insanely impressive, but I think it really shows how locked in Paul has been, as this crazily enough was the first playoff sweep that Chris Paul has done to another team in his entire 16-year NBA career. His performance last night truly was on another level though, as he dropped 37 points on a great shooting clip of 14 for 19 from the field and also grabbed 3 rebounds, dished out 7 assists, got 2 steals, and shot a crazy good 9 for 9 from the free throw stripe, which kept his free throw shooting percentage at 100% over the last 7 games, which is insanely impressive. Back to Devin Booker real quick. One thing I wanted to show was his numbers in the 2 closeout games that he's played during this Suns playoff run, as he's scored 81 points, grabbed 22 rebounds, and done that on insane shooting splits of 55, 55, and 95. Those numbers are insanely great and shows just how dangerous Booker can be on any given night. But when we're talking about a guy who scored 70 points in a game once, I think we should already know how dangerous D-Book is. I want to talk about the Suns team stats though now, and why this team has a very good chance of becoming the 2021 NBA champs. We already talked about Booker and Paul's scoring in the playoffs, but beyond just them, the Suns have 4 other guys for a total of 6 players averaging double-digit point totals in the 2021 playoffs, which is very good to see if you're a Suns fan. Beyond just their offensive numbers though, the Suns have averaged the 2nd best defensive rating of any of the 16 teams in the 2021 playoffs. I think it's also important to mention the Suns' transition defense has been very good, as they've given up the 4th least amount of points off of turnovers despite averaging the 10th most turnovers per game, and they're also giving up the 7th least amount of points off of fast breaks. Now, while they have played an injured Lakers team and an injured Nuggets team through their first 2 playoff series, the Suns have forced their opponents to shoot the 2nd worst percentage in both field goal and 3-point shooting. They've also held their opponents to the 4th lowest amount of assists per game. Now, what I think is important is the fact that they've held their opponents to the absolute lowest points per game total and the second worst plus-minus rating of any teams in the 2021 playoffs. So this team has really been putting up numbers that show they can play with anybody that they face. Now, the presumed team that they'll face next are the Utah Jazz, who had the best record in the NBA this season. The Jazz are currently beating the Clippers 2-1 in their series, and tonight will be a huge game between the two teams, but the Jazz truly are for real. Much like the Suns, the Jazz have 6 players and nearly 7 guys who have scored double-digit point totals per game in the 2021 playoffs. The Jazz as a team get 44.1% of their points off of three-pointers, and in this year's playoffs, they've made 17.5 threes per game on 41.2% shooting, which is 0.1% off of tying the Blazers for the best percentage by any team in the playoffs. So this Jazz team truly is scary, and they're for real, like I said. However, like shown earlier, the Suns have held their opponents to the second worst three-point shooting percentage of any playoff team, and beyond that, they've also held their opponents to the 5th lowest amount of three-pointers in total as well. Not to mention, like I also said before, the Suns have held their opponents to the lowest points per game total and the second worst plus-minus rating in the 2021 playoffs. Now, like I also said, they've played a Lakers team that dealt with injuries, more specifically to Anthony Davis and LeBron James, and the team that they just swept, the Nuggets, were without star Jamal Murray. So these numbers that the Suns put up might just make them look better than they really are, and as of right now, I actually do still have the Jazz as my team winning the 2021 NBA championship this season. But if there's one team that I could see knocking the Jazz off, it's probably got to be the Phoenix Suns, as they get great scoring from all over their roster, and they have also played tremendous defense in the regular season as well as in the playoffs thus far. So I have the Jazz winning the West as of right now, but if the Suns make it out of the West, I won't be surprised whatsoever, as I think they truly have what it takes. Anyway though guys, I want to know what you guys think about this Suns team's level of play in the 2021 playoffs, their players' level of play in the playoffs, if you think they'll win the West, the NBA championship, or anything having to do with the team down below in the comment section. Like mentioned before though, if you like this video, then make sure to give it a like as it helps out a lot, and if you're new to the channel and or enjoy the NBA, then make sure to hit that subscribe button and notification bell, that way you stay up to date with my newest content. Anyway though guys, I'm SCJ and I am out. Peace.